Many of you know that I have worked here at Menlo College for about 15 years. Some of you know that I have also been a practicing artist for over 40 years. Yes. And I enjoy putting together museum trips for students and also helping with others to bring art to campus. Likely you've seen the artwork installed in the Bowman Library here at Menlo. It's on loan. It's a spill of hard candy. It's 50 pounds of green lifesavers, watermelon flavor, each individually wrapped in plastic and all strewn out on the library floor. Almost as obvious as this artwork on the ground is the label on the wall indicating artist, Félix González-Torres. Title, untitled, LA, year 1991. Félix, of course, the artist, is the topic of the day. This artwork on the label is one of two hard candy spills that will be part of our discussion. A bit less obvious is how you react to the work. Of course, you have thoughts, you might feel a certain way, you might wonder, why did someone bring this work to Menlo College? You could consider taking a piece of candy and just as quickly become nervous about taking some art. Then again, you might very well know that the artist intended for you to be engaged in this piece of art, that the action of taking a piece of candy, of taking some of the art, is integral to the installation itself. This knowledge is anything but obvious. It is not inscribed in the piece, and it is not written on that wall label. The knowledge does allow for us to understand the artist's interest in transubstantiation. In other words, the candy has enhanced value. This value is conferred by Menlo College, by numerous other institutions, by the artist himself, and by the art market. Crystal Bridges Museum of Art, the museum lending the work to Menlo College, paid $7.7 million for it at auction. Yet, this is a distraction. The import of the expense and of the attention paid to the work is that it has cultural value. And by the artist's design, you get to take some of this culture. You take a piece of candy, you take two pieces of candy, you take them for free, that's important, and you put them in your mouth and you eat them. The artist well knew that this activity of eating carries with it a tension, because we all know from stories new and old, think Hansel and Gretel here, that sweets, food, candy can be used as a trap or a lure. Yet, untitled LA there in the library is not a physical trap. The librarian is not going to pop around the corner and pointedly ask you, why do you have some art in your mouth? So what is going on? You have ingested some culture. In the same way that you eat a meal prepared for you by a loved one. In the same way as when you intimately kiss, you take a bit of someone else inside of yourself. Now we're at the root of the current controversy around the artist and his art. How much of the artist's biography, or how little of this biography do we consider to best appreciate the art itself? The artist died at a young age of an AIDS-related illness in 1996. The other hard candy work of our discussion, untitled Portrait of Ross in LA, introduces us to Ross, the artist's partner and lover, who died of an AIDS-related illness at a young age in 1991. Two facts of the most unremarkable kind make the artist's biography difficult for many even in 2025. He kissed men. You can contract HIV by having sex even with someone you love. It is difficult to tell this story and to separate out the personal and the historical and the political. So thank you for bearing with me while I try to do all three all at once here for a little bit more. I never met Félix, yet we both completed our graduate studies in the arts at NYU. We both lived in New York City at the same time. Today, we would have been less than 8 years apart in age had he survived the AIDS pandemic, a pandemic that, of course, continues right up to this moment. Going back even more in time, in 1983, the artist was completing his undergraduate studies on the East Coast. And I was here on the West Coast starting mine, excited about taking classes in painting and writing. And that year, we were all aware of the AIDS crisis. In fact, that year, 1983, HIV, the human immunodeficiency virus, was identified. Yet, it was not until 4 years later, the year I graduated, that then President Ronald Reagan at all addressed this now full-blown AIDS crisis. Many died during and after this period of executive silence, and the silence and the silencing have continued right into the present moment. On January 20th, 2025, the current White House published an executive order defending women from gender ideology extremism and restoring biological truth to the federal government, end quote. This order was not defending anybody, and that it was restricting protections for the queer community was made clear in a press release of the very next day by GLAAD on January 21st, 2025. Quote, "The administration has removed nearly all LGBTQ and HIV-focused content and resources from the White House website and from key federal agency web pages," end quote. The erasure of terms including lesbian, bisexual, gay, sexual orientation, gender identity, and transgender was confirmed by national news outlets. And this erasure entered into the realm of the arts, our discussion, of course, of today. Out magazine ran several articles highly critical of the Smithsonian Institution's National Portrait Gallery's exhibition of this year, Félix González-Torres, Always to Return. The specific criticism being that the installation of the artwork, and I am sure you all know which artwork I'm going to mention, untitled Portrait of Ross in LA, did not include appropriate biographical information, and as a result, according to Out, erased queer history and reduced the work itself to a pretty pile of candy. To contrast this, Out pointed to the installation of the same work at another time at the Art Institute of Chicago, and the biographically heavy label that was included there, which read, and I'll only quote part of it, "This is González-Torres' unconventional portrait of his partner, Ross Laycock, who died of an AIDS-related illness in 1991. The combined weight of the candy, 175 pounds, corresponds to Laycock's ideal weight before he became ill. Visitors are invited to sample the sweets. As the candy disappears, the pile shrinks in weight and mass, reenacting the debilitating effects of Laycock's illness, end quote. The Smithsonian label, read regarding weight, ideal weight, 175 pounds, leaving viewers like you, with the impression that the weight being discussed was that of the candy, not of Ross. Given these erasures of queer language, queer history, queer culture, we can be excused for being suspicious of too strong of an interest in not discussing the artist's queer history. That said, from another angle, it can be argued that we overstep the artist's intention and undermine the full breadth of possible meaning of a work by too quickly tying it to biography. In this view, Felix's freedom in creating is our freedom in viewing, and for some, in approaching these gorgeous candy spills, first will be color and form. And for others, paramount will be art historical context, minimalism, pop, conceptualism, the postmodern. And for others still, first and last will be biography. These are not realities in conflict, but the artist, in his generosity, in his commitment to community, and let's say it here, in his very large talent, has created work that challenges us to bring all of our knowledge to bear and to learn more, not less. So the next time you're at Bowman Library, which can be today because they're open till 5 o'clock, and you encounter Félix González-Torres' Untitled LA of 1991, let me suggest that it won't quite look or taste the same. Thank you very much.